Hi, my name is Brandon Camp, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Storied. And I'm excited today to talk to you a little bit about storybooks and some different ideas that we've had on how you could leverage storybooks to build some fun books for your family. Today, we're going to be talking about storybooks and the ability that you have to take the stories that you've captured on Storied or that others have captured in groups that you participate in, or in stories that have been captured on Family Search and that you've imported into Storied, and how you can turn those into a book. And we're not going to really review the process as much as some different kinds of books that you could think about creating. Now, storied books, they are premium hardcover books. They can have up to 200 pages right now. We're working on making it so that you can make those books even longer. They have QR codes in them, which enables you to actually take the book that you have, that physical book, and when you scan it, it'll take you online. So you can see additional photos for the story that may have been captured, or listen to audio recordings, or see the comments that people have made online about the stories. One of the other things that sets storied books apart is the ability to work on a book by yourself or to collaborate as a group. And I'm going to share a couple examples today that kind of highlight how I've handled that. There's really three different examples I want to take you through. All right. So first off, when we talk about books and family history, I think this is the most common use case that people think of. They think about writing a story or writing a book with stories of their own memories. And you've seen a lot of people in the category have success with this, where you can buy a gift for someone and they get a prompt each week that helps them capture stories or memories that they have and turns it into a book. And while we do support that use case and we think that it's an awesome use case, I think that books in the category could be way bigger than that. And so the first example I want to take you through is a book that we made for my mom. So I'm the oldest of 5 kids in my family. And obviously, as the chief marketing officer, one of my jobs is to help get the word out about storied books. And in preparation for Roots Tech, we thought it might be fun to have a testimonial style ad where we actually gave someone a book and we could capture their reaction on camera. Well, my mom volunteered to participate in something like that if we decided we wanted to. So we started to go down that road. And part of the reason we picked my mom is I do think that moms often go underappreciated in our society. I think that they sacrifice a lot in order to make our dreams become realities. And I think that our mom is no exception. I think sometimes she may feel taken for granted. We are a family that likes to tease and to joke around a little bit. And I think that um, maybe we take that too far sometimes. So I just wanted to recognize my mom for her contribution in my life and in all of my siblings' lives. And we thought it would be really fun to put a book together for her to help her understand how much she means to us and to capture some of the memories that we have. And like I said, the original intent here was to use it for an ad. We didn't actually end up filming that ad, but we did have an opportunity to go through the process of creating a book, and I want to show you what that looks like. So I sent a text message to 9 people in my family, my 4 siblings and to their spouses in case they had any stories, as well as my spouse, right? And so I sent out a text, hey, help me make a book for mom. And of course, my siblings were more than happy to agree. Okay, we'll do it. Actually, it took a little prodding, but here's the process as it went down for us. So that text went out on Wednesday at 1 p.m. on January 17th. I said, hey guys, I need some help. I think we're going to create an ad from this. Can you help me? I have a tight deadline. The deadline's Sunday night. So I need you to get me some stories if you wouldn't mind. And I got to tell you, I was really pleased. Over the next few days, a couple stories started to trickle in. And then as we got into the weekend and people had a little bit more time, more and more stories started to pop up in our feed. And it got to the point where by the end of Sunday night, at 8 o'clock, I had captured 31 different stories, different memories that we had from my mom, from different members of the family. We had about 7 or 8 of those that were invited, chose to participate. A couple actually added some stories after we were done. They couldn't do it within the time window that we had. But 31 stories, that's a 70-page book, guys, that we were able to cobble together in a matter of 4 days. Now, you can see here some of the pictures that we used were actual pictures that we had from our phones or that I'd scanned from old scrapbooks. We had a couple where we didn't have an actual image, and so we went and leveraged some of the new AI capabilities that are available to generate some images or some illustrations that helped represent some of the experiences that we have. One of my favorite illustrations that got generated was when my mom jumped out of the laundry room and scared my little sister. And I think that turned out beautifully. So in a matter of really 4 or 5 days, we captured all the stories that we needed. We used a couple days to clean things up. And by that following Wednesday, we'd submitted the order for the book to be printed. And this is what we came out with. This is the final product that we had. It's actually right here. So you'll see here the book that we created for my mom. And it's got a table of contents with the different stories. It has a little foreword that we've put in there that kind of helps explain why mom is important to us. There's the table of contents I talked about. And then as you kind of flip through, you just see all the different stories that my siblings and I came up with that help let mom know what she means to us and how she's impacted our lives. And it's a beautiful book that we've been able to give to her. Now, I had the opportunity to give this book to my mom on Saturday. Sorry. It was a super meaningful experience for me because it's a gift that matters. It helps her understand how much we love and care about her. And I think that it's really drawn us closer together, not in like a overarching, oh my gosh, our family's so much better off kind of way. But I think that it helped her understand how much we really do truly love and appreciate her. Now, a couple things I learned along the way as we built this book. First, it was helpful to have a deadline. I've tried to build a couple of these books before for other family members that were a little more distant. And without that deadline, it tended to meander a little bit. And I think people had a harder time making it a priority in their lives. I don't want to make it sound like I sent one text and then magically all of these stories started appearing. There were a few follow-up texts that came, but by and large, I was very surprised at how willing and how little follow-up was required to get my siblings to participate because they all have kids of their own. They have lots of things going on. And so the fact that they were willing to take a few minutes and capture some of these stories. The other thing I wanted to highlight, I guess it isn't on the slide here, but I would put it on here if I could, is a lot of times you think that you have to write a novel, but the beauty of these stories is that they're short. There were a couple stories in the book that are just a paragraph or two, just a little memory of something that happened. My sister Heather had a couple short stories that were super powerful, but not super lengthy. And I think that that's fine. I think that the fact that we've crowdsourced it and the fact that everyone can contribute give you some balance in that book, which made it a lot of fun. And then I do think that the collaborative nature. So what we did, and I'll show you this in a minute, but we created a group on Storied where we could share these stories as we were turning them in. So my sisters and my brothers didn't email me their stories. They just typed them right in on the Storied interface. And as they as they published those stories, those popped up in our group feed. And as I saw a couple of those stories, it triggered other memories for me. And I know one of my brothers had that experience as well. He's like, oh my gosh, I just saw this other story and now there's this story that I need to write because I hadn't thought about it before, but seeing my sister's story helped trigger that for him. And so there is a beauty here in this kind of book in the sense that it can be collaborative and that others can help trigger those memories, or maybe they have the photo you needed. One of my sisters-in-law told a story about a quilt that my mom made for them. And we were able to find a picture of one of the quilts that mom has made and add that to the story. And so I kind of love the fact that the platform itself makes it easy to collaborate on this kind of a book. So that's the first kind of book that I wanted to talk about today that I've actually made and done, right? A second book that we're currently working on right now in our family is a family cookbook. So just this past week, the team has released a recipe template online. And rather than take you through some slides, I actually want to take you over to the site and show you what this looks like. One of the advantages, I guess, of doing this online. Oh, Thought I had it queued up. There it went the wrong way. Okay. So this is my story feed. You'll see I have about 213 stories that I've written or that are in the process of being written. If you will, let me zoom in a little so you can get a closer look at what's going on here. So one of the things that we've done is we've created a recipe template. So this differs a little bit from the standard story template in the sense that you have an ingredient section, you have directions. There is an opportunity to add additional information if you wanted to add like how many people it serves or calories or gluten-free or whatever tags you feel like kind of belong on there. And then one of the things that I love is there's a place at the front to write a little story about why this recipe is meaningful. You know, this recipe right here, chicken pillows, this is one of the recipes that actually helped me fall in love with my wife. She made this for me while we were dating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've hit the mega load. Elena's an amazing cook. This is incredible. I love them. To this day, they're still one of my favorite things that she makes. What she failed to mention when we were dating was that this is one of the 3 recipes that she knew. And so when we got married, I was under the impression that she was this master chef. And that's something that we've had to learn together over the last 20 years is how to cook and prepare meals together. So there's a little story that's associated with each one of these recipes, but they're really easy to put together. One of my favorites is this recipe right here, this banana leprechaun muffins. So I have a couple kids that have special needs. They're on the autism spectrum. And one of the things that is difficult for them is trying new foods. They're very set in the kinds of foods that they like. And most of those food groups don't include anything that's healthy. And so we were bound and determined to find a way to get some sort of vitamins and minerals in our kids. And my wife stumbled upon this recipe online, and it was a recipe that it's a banana muffin recipe, but it includes spinach. But you blend it up so that you can't tell that there's spinach in the muffins, other than the fact that it turns the muffins very green. And so we had to wait for a specific time to make these muffins, and my wife decided St. Patrick's Day was the perfect time. And so St. Patrick's Day came and she made the muffins, and they had these green muffins, and all the kids assumed that she just put some food coloring in to make it more fun. And they ate the muffins and they loved them. They are delicious. You can't taste the spinach at all. But it was interesting because later that day, my wife got a call from a concerned neighbor, and she said, you know, my kids are telling me that you have muffins at your house and that inside your muffins, that there are leprechauns, dead leprechauns. And it turns out our oldest son had decided that it would be funny to tell his younger siblings that mom had gone out and found a bunch of leprechauns and chopped them up after she hunted them and killed them and put them inside the muffins. And so these are our banana leprechaun muffins, and they're fun. It's another fun memory for us that we've captured. And then I've taken and I've actually cited the original recipe here. So if someone wanted to click on the recipe and go see, they're not called leprechaun muffins. I think they're like, well, you can see Hulk muffins is the way that they phrased them. But you can see here another example of how there's a story and there's a family element to this, but it's a recipe that we could create and add to a book. So what I've been doing then is I've captured some recipes here on the site, and I can come over here to print storied books, and you can see I've started a camp family recipe storybook. And you'll see here, I can scroll through my stories. We're still working on some filtering options that'll make this a little easier. But as it stands right now, I just check the box or the circle of the recipes that I want to include in the book. And I can click next, and I can reorder the recipes in whatever order that I want very easily here. And click to the next phase and design my cover. You see I have an image that I've put together that I've uploaded. I have a forward in the book, some of these other things that you saw in my mom's book. And it's as easy as that, right? Once the stories are in there, or the recipes are in there, and you've chosen the ones you want, you come over here. I've exhausted the number of credits that I have to print books right now. So you can see this is grayed out for me until I'm ready to actually pay for another book. But Really easy to come in and make a book. And this is a cookbook that we're actively working on as a family, capturing some of our favorite recipes as my personal family. So that's another way that you can a different kind of book that you can build. Now, earlier I talked a little bit about not wanting to just focus on autobiographies, but you can also build an autobiography. So I've started to build a book right here. I've not started. I have a book that I've printed of childhood stories that I have. And so for my kids, and these are obviously all on the site here as well. I can go to, we'll go to my family tree here real quick. We'll click into me and go to stories. And these are different stories that I've told about me and my experiences. Some of these are the recipes that are meaningful to me, but you'll start to see some childhood stories, right? And stories that I included in my mom's book that also included me. But as we scroll down, I tend for stories where I don't have a picture, I'll create an image. There are many cases where I do have pictures, and so I'm able to include those, but you'll see different memories that I have as a kid that I've been able to capture here, and I've included in this book right here on That's How I Remember It. Right? So kind of a fun little book for me, and like we saw before, there are different images of punishments that I had or memories that I have spending time with my family, my parents, going to the doctor, a bunch of different things in here. My grandfather just passed away this past year, but one of the stories that he would tell when we went over to his house is about a time that he sang in the opera. And one of the things that I love about that story was not just the story itself, but actually hearing him tell that story. And so I have an image here that I've created. I don't have a picture of him in the 1950s actually singing on the stage at BYU. But in this story, he was apparently a very hairy man, and his costume had his chest exposed. And after the experience, someone came up to him and without saying a word, gave his chest hair a tug. And you'll see right here, I've actually captured that story so you could hear him tell it in his own words. And I'm in the process of attaching this audio file to the story.
I was taking private trumpet and private vocal lessons both. And I was singing in an opera. And my opera uniform was just a leather vest that was open in front that showed the hair on my chest. And after the opera was over, some gal walked up to me from the audience, grabbed the hair on my chest and gave it a jerk. I said, "Oh, I've been wondering all night if that was real."
Anyway, that story is a lot more powerful to me when I can hear it in my own grandfather's voice. I wanted to give you a few other ideas, right? There are a lot of us that have immigrants or pioneer ancestry that can help us understand where we came from. We have members that have maybe participated in military battles, or people that have served on LDS missions or peacekeeping missions, right? There are anniversaries, there are graduations, there's weddings. Maybe you participated on a sports team, or you're thinking about other groups. We have a company book, Storied Stories, where we've captured different memories that we have as a company or as an institution. I participated in Boy Scouts most of my life. And so you can make a book about the different memories that you have as a scout troop or as a Cub Scout pack, right? Maybe you have life lessons that you've learned over time. We already talked about cookbooks, or we talked about, everyone gathering together their collective memories, working together to build something. Honestly, guys, the opportunities are endless. There are so many different things that you could do, so many different ideas. I hope it's been a little bit helpful to dive into what this can look like and to give you a couple concrete examples of how these come together. Appreciate all that you guys do for your families and all the research that you're doing, and hope that Storied can help you in your journey to preserve those memories and share them with those that you love. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.